Have you ever found yourself in an emotional conflict and felt lost on how to handle it? Emotional conflicts can arise unexpectedly in any relationship, leaving us feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or even helpless. But what if there was a way to manage these emotions with clarity and composure? Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches the art of emotional control, can provide powerful tools to navigate emotional turmoil and find inner peace. Stoicism teaches that we cannot always control external events or the actions of others, but we can always control our emotional responses. By practicing Stoic principles, we can transform emotional conflict into an opportunity for growth and resilience. By the end of this video, you'll learn simple yet effective Stoic techniques for managing emotional conflicts. These practices will help you maintain calm during difficult conversations, avoid emotional impulsivity, and approach conflicts with rational thinking. You will discover how to control your emotions instead of letting them control you, leading to stronger emotional resilience. Not only will these Stoic techniques resolve conflicts, but they will also improve your relationships by fostering understanding, respect, and harmony. Stay with us as we explore how Stoic practices can turn emotional struggles into moments of clarity and growth. Emotional conflicts are an inevitable part of life. Whether it's a disagreement with a loved one, a misunderstanding at work, or internal struggles with our own emotions, we all face moments where our feelings get the better of us. In these moments, it's easy to become overwhelmed, react impulsively, or feel lost without knowing how to regain control. These emotional upheavals can strain relationships and leave us feeling disconnected from our own peace of mind. Enter Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that offers practical tools for navigating emotional conflicts with clarity and composure. Unlike other approaches that focus on changing external circumstances, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, reactions, and emotions. Through the cultivation of self-control, rationality, and emotional clarity, Stoicism provides a roadmap to not only manage but also transform emotional conflicts into opportunities for personal growth and resilience. In this video, we will explore several Stoic practices that can help you navigate emotional conflict more effectively. From understanding the nature of our emotions to learning how to respond with reason rather than reaction, these Stoic techniques offer lasting solutions to emotional turmoil. You'll learn how to separate your emotions from your actions, maintain inner peace in the face of external challenges, and cultivate a mindset that fosters harmony, both within yourself and in your relationships. These practices are not just about resolving conflicts in the moment, they're about building emotional resilience for life's inevitable challenges. The Stoic approach to emotions are an undeniable part of the human experience. They arise naturally in response to external events, from the joy of a happy occasion to the anger sparked by an injustice. However, Stoicism presents a distinctive perspective on emotions that emphasizes not suppression, but management. According to Stoic philosophy, emotions are not inherently negative, nor are they something to be eliminated altogether. Instead, Stoicism teaches that emotions are natural responses to events outside of our control. What matters is how we respond to them. The Stoics believed that it's not external events themselves that disturb us, but our judgment of those events. In other words, our emotional reactions are shaped by how we interpret the world around us. If we perceive a situation as threatening, we may feel fear. If we believe someone has wronged us, we may feel anger. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This highlights the core Stoic belief that our emotional responses are rooted in our perceptions and judgments, not in the events themselves. For Stoics, the key to emotional management lies in cultivating a rational mindset. Rather than allowing emotions like anger, fear, or frustration to dictate our actions, Stoicism encourages us to examine these emotions through the lens of reason. When faced with anger, for example, instead of letting it fuel rash actions or destructive behavior, a Stoic would pause, reflect on the situation, and seek to understand the root cause of their anger. Is it truly justified? Does it serve a constructive purpose? By asking these questions, Stoics redirect the energy of negative emotions into more productive, rational responses. This Stoic approach is not about avoiding emotions altogether. In fact, emotions are seen as a natural part of being human. Rather, the goal is to manage them through rational thought and self-discipline. The Stoics teach that we can transform potentially destructive emotions into opportunities for personal growth and virtue. For example, instead of being consumed by anger when faced with an injustice, we can use that anger as fuel to act in a just and measured way, without being controlled by our emotions. Similarly, fear can be reframed as a chance to develop courage, and frustration can become a tool for learning patience. By practicing emotional self-discipline, Stoics aim to live in harmony with both their inner selves and the external world. They understand that while emotions are inevitable, we are not powerless in the face of them. Through rational reflection and the practice of self-control, we can choose how to respond to emotional stimuli, thus transforming our emotional reactions into choices aligned with our highest virtues. This allows us to cultivate a deep sense of inner peace and emotional resilience, regardless of the external challenges we face. Practice 1. Dichotomy of control. The Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control is foundational to emotional resilience and the management of conflicts. This principle revolves around the understanding that there are two categories of things in life: those that are within our control and those that are not. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what is within our control, our thoughts, responses, and actions, while accepting that external events, including other people's behaviors, are beyond our influence. In emotional conflicts, the dichotomy of control is particularly helpful. It's easy to become frustrated or overwhelmed when we try to control things outside our grasp, such as how someone else behaves or the outcome of a particular situation. However, Stoic wisdom reminds us that such external factors are not within our control. When we fixate on trying to change these uncontrollable elements, we invite frustration and emotional turmoil into our lives. This is where the dichotomy of control offers us a sense of liberation. By releasing our attachment to the uncontrollable, we can focus our energy on what we can actually influence, ourselves. For instance, when faced with a disagreement or emotional conflict, we often wish the other person would change their behavior or see things from our perspective. This desire for control over the other person's actions only exacerbates the conflict and leaves us feeling powerless. According to the Stoics, this is where we must apply the dichotomy of control. Instead of focusing on changing the other person, we must turn our attention inward. How can we respond to the situation in a way that aligns with our values? What thoughts or emotions are we allowing to control us, and how can we choose to act differently? One practical way to apply this principle is to pause during moments of emotional conflict. Take a moment to reflect. What is in my control here? What am I responsible for in this situation? Often, we will find that our emotions, reactions, and interpretations are the only things truly under our control. By shifting our focus to how we choose to respond, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to control the uncontrollable, which leads to greater emotional clarity and peace. A concrete step for practicing this is to use a simple mental exercise. Before reacting to an external event, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, consciously let go of the desire to change or influence it. Instead, focus on managing your reaction, whether it's your thoughts, emotions, or actions. For example, if someone says something hurtful, instead of reacting with anger or frustration, remind yourself that their words are outside of your control. What is within your control is how you respond. You can choose to remain calm, to listen without judgment, or to express your feelings respectfully. Another key element in this practice is mindfulness. When we are caught up in emotional conflict, we often react impulsively, acting on the heat of the moment. By practicing mindfulness, we can create a pause between stimulus and response. This gives us the space to reflect on what we can control, thereby allowing us to make more thoughtful, measured decisions in our emotional interactions. By consistently applying the dichotomy of control, we build emotional resilience and reduce the frustration that arises from trying to control external circumstances. This practice empowers us to maintain our peace and emotional balance, no matter what challenges arise. In relationships and in life, focusing on what we can control allows us to respond with wisdom, patience, and composure, qualities that are essential for navigating conflicts effectively and maintaining lasting harmony. Practice 2. Reframing negative emotions. Reframing is a powerful Stoic technique that involves changing the way we interpret and react to negative emotions. Rather than allowing emotions to control us, Stoics advocate for viewing situations through a different lens, one that encourages growth, learning, and resilience. This practice teaches us that our emotional reactions are not caused by external events themselves, but by our interpretations of those events. By changing our perspective, we can transform negative emotions into opportunities for personal growth. For Stoics, emotions like anger, frustration, and sadness are not inherently bad, but rather signals that we need to examine our own thoughts and reactions. When an emotional conflict arises, our initial reaction is often shaped by how we interpret the situation. For instance, if someone criticizes us, we may feel hurt, defensive, or angry. However, the Stoic approach invites us to reframe this situation. Instead of viewing criticism as a personal attack, we can choose to see it as constructive feedback. This shift in perspective allows us to approach the conflict with curiosity and openness rather than defensiveness or resentment. The key to reframing is recognizing that our emotions are not objective truths. They are subjective responses influenced by our beliefs and judgments. A Stoic would ask themselves, why am I reacting this way? What belief or assumption is fueling this emotion? By questioning these beliefs, we can begin to see that our emotional responses are not necessarily justified or helpful. Reframing helps us detach from our immediate emotional reactions and choose a more rational, constructive way of interpreting events. Take, for example, a disagreement with a partner. Instead of viewing the disagreement as a failure of the relationship or as an attack on your character, reframe it as an opportunity to deepen your understanding of each other. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can this conflict help me grow as a person and improve the relationship? This shift in perspective allows us to approach the conflict with a mindset of problem-solving rather than defensiveness or hostility. In another scenario, suppose you are faced with a setback or failure at work. It's easy to fall into feelings of self-doubt or frustration. However, Stoicism teaches that setbacks are not permanent failures, but chances to grow stronger and wiser. Reframe the setback as a valuable learning experience. Instead of ruminating on the mistake, focus on what you can learn from it and how you can improve in the future. This mindset helps reduce feelings of helplessness or bitterness, turning the setback into a stepping stone for growth. Stoics also recommend reframing emotional conflicts by recognizing that everything is temporary. If you're experiencing frustration or anger over a situation, remind yourself that these emotions too will pass. Reframing helps you step back from the intensity of the moment and gain perspective. It allows you to see that no emotional conflict, no matter how challenging, lasts forever, and that with patience and self-reflection, you can emerge stronger from the experience. Reframing also extends to our relationships. When we encounter conflict with others, Stoics advise reframing the situation by recognizing that everyone is on their own journey and may be acting from their own struggles and perspectives. By understanding that their actions are not personal attacks, but rather a reflection of their own beliefs and experiences, we can approach emotional conflicts with empathy and compassion. This perspective fosters understanding, reduces tension, and strengthens relationships. To put reframing into practice, one effective technique is to pause and ask yourself a few guiding questions during an emotional conflict. What assumptions am I making about this situation? What alternative interpretations are possible? How can I grow from this experience? This simple practice shifts our focus from the problem itself to the opportunity for personal development it presents. By reframing negative emotions, we not only reduce the power of those emotions, but also gain control over how we respond to them. This Stoic practice helps us navigate emotional conflicts with wisdom and clarity, turning challenges into opportunities for growth, strengthening our emotional resilience, and deepening our relationships. Practice 3. Emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is a key Stoic practice that involves distancing ourselves from intense emotional reactions. It doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. Rather, it's about creating space between our initial emotional impulse and our response. This practice allows us to navigate conflicts with clarity, rationality, and composure, rather than reacting impulsively and making the situation worse. In Stoicism, emotions are seen as natural responses to external events. However, Stoics believe that we can control how we respond to those emotions. Emotional detachment helps us step back and observe our feelings without being controlled by them. Instead of immediately reacting with anger, frustration, or fear, we can take a moment to reflect on our thoughts and consider the best course of action. One of the key benefits of emotional detachment is that it allows us to respond to conflicts with rationality rather than acting impulsively. For instance, when we're angry or upset, it's easy to say things we don't mean or escalate the situation unnecessarily. Emotional detachment helps us resist the urge to react impulsively, giving us the space to choose a more measured and thoughtful response. Here are some practical strategies to cultivate emotional detachment in conflict situations. Take deep breaths. When you feel your emotions rising, take a few deep breaths to calm your mind and body. This simple practice can help you break the cycle of emotional escalation and regain control over your reactions. Step away from the situation. If possible, remove yourself from the conflict for a moment. Stepping away allows you to gain perspective and avoid saying or doing something in the heat of the moment that you might regret later. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of staying present and aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By observing your emotions without getting swept away by them, you can develop greater control over your responses. Shift your focus. Rather than focusing on the emotions triggered by the conflict, redirect your attention to something rational or constructive. Ask yourself, what is within my control in this situation? Or how can I approach this problem in a way that benefits everyone involved? Emotional detachment allows us to see conflicts for what they truly are, temporary challenges that can be resolved with calmness and rational thought. By practicing detachment, we can prevent our emotions from clouding our judgment and ensure that we respond to conflicts in a way that aligns with our values and goals. Through this Stoic practice, we learn to master our emotions rather than be mastered by them, leading to greater emotional resilience and healthier relationships. Practice 4. Developing compassion and understanding. In Stoic philosophy, empathy and compassion are not about emotional attachment or losing oneself in the emotions of others. Rather, they are about understanding others' viewpoints and recognizing the shared human experience of struggle, conflict, and emotion. Stoicism teaches us to view others' actions not with judgment, but with rational understanding, realizing that everyone is facing their own internal battles. Stoics believe that by practicing compassion, we can approach conflicts with a sense of calm and understanding rather than reacting with anger or frustration. This approach helps to de-escalate emotional conflicts and foster healthier, more harmonious relationships. Compassion, in this sense, is rooted in recognizing that everyone has their own struggles, and by acknowledging this, we can respond with more patience and clarity. When faced with conflict, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the other person's actions are personal or malicious. Stoicism teaches us to remove our personal bias and instead adopt a more neutral and rational stance. By understanding that others act based on their own perceptions, struggles, and emotional states, we can approach the situation with a more balanced perspective. Here are some practical ways to develop compassion in emotional conflicts. Active listening. Take the time to truly listen to what the other person is saying, without interrupting or immediately formulating a response. Listening actively allows you to understand their point of view and helps you respond more thoughtfully. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Try to imagine the situation from the other person's perspective. What might they be feeling? What challenges or emotions might they be experiencing? This practice helps you see beyond your own feelings and approach the conflict with empathy. Respond with calm and understanding. When responding in a conflict, try to speak with calmness and understanding. Instead of reacting impulsively with anger or frustration, acknowledge the other person's perspective and express your thoughts in a respectful manner. Recognize shared humanity. Remind yourself that everyone has their own emotional struggles and challenges. By recognizing the shared human experience of conflict, you can approach the situation with compassion and avoid viewing the other person as an adversary. Developing compassion in conflict is a Stoic practice that fosters harmony, patience, and understanding. It allows us to engage in difficult conversations with a calm mind and an open heart, making it easier to resolve conflicts and build deeper, more meaningful relationships. Through compassion, we move beyond judgment and embrace the shared experience of being human, making room for growth, healing, and connection. In this video, we've explored key Stoic techniques for navigating emotional conflicts, focusing on what is within our control, reframing negative emotions, practicing emotional detachment, and developing compassion and understanding. These Stoic principles offer powerful tools for managing emotional responses and creating a sense of calm and clarity in the face of conflict. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, reactions, and attitudes, we take back our emotional power and avoid unnecessary frustration. Reframing negative emotions allows us to see conflicts as opportunities for personal growth rather than threats, shifting our perspective and reducing emotional distress. Emotional detachment enables us to respond with rationality, preventing impulsive reactions that can escalate conflicts. Finally, developing compassion helps us understand others' perspectives, fostering patience and empathy in our interactions. When practiced together, these techniques not only resolve conflicts, but also contribute to greater emotional resilience, allowing us to handle challenges with composure and clarity. They lead to healthier, more harmonious relationships and a more peaceful state of mind. I encourage you to integrate these Stoic practices into your daily life, whether in personal relationships, work environments, or inner struggles. Applying these techniques will help you navigate emotional conflicts with wisdom and emotional strength, leading to a deeper sense of harmony within yourself and your relationships. Thank you for watching and exploring how Stoic practices can help you navigate emotional conflicts. We've discussed essential Stoic techniques, such as focusing on what you can control, reframing negative emotions, emotional detachment, and cultivating compassion. These practices can transform how you respond to emotional challenges, leading to greater clarity and peace. I invite you to share your experiences with emotional conflicts and how Stoicism has helped you manage them. How have these Stoic practices impacted your approach to conflicts in your own life? Let us know in the comments below. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell so you won't miss more videos on Stoicism and personal growth. Stay tuned for more content on how to apply Stoic wisdom to create a more fulfilling and balanced life.